Hey guys, welcome back to Q Sports News. I'm Adam King, and we're going to give you a rundown of all the great pool action in October. But first, here's my picks for the top 3 shots of the month. Jason Shaw down 3-0 in the final comes with this gem. Boom! With shape on the 4. Check out this strike from Jason Shaw. With this distance to get this kind of work out of the ball, boom. Fantastic strike. In Albin Ocean, after struggling with a big lead, Hill with a nice shot there to get back on this really tricky combination. I love this shot because look how far away the 5 and the 9 are. This is for the win. Albin has missed a bunch of balls, and it looks much easier than it really is on camera there. This is not this easy. Albin showing absolute nerves of steel. This is why he's a 2-time world champion. This is why he gets the job done. Bam. Doing it. When it matters. All right. The first thing we got to talk about here in October is the Mosconi Cup picks are in. And I got something to say about them. Ralph Eckert decided to choose Albin Ocean over Eklund Kachi. I got a problem with this. Kachi has had an amazing year. He's had a better than amazing. I mean, the guy, on paper, he's at least at 129,000 in earnings, and Albin's somewhere in 40, 50, well, maybe 60 after Hanoi. But they might not have known, in Eckert's defense, maybe they didn't know that Kachi would be back from the broken arm so quickly. I got to say, he was a question mark. Everyone knew he was a question mark. But he comes right back and gets 5th place at the World 8-Ball Championships. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But you have to choose Kachi. Kachi was a little salty on his Facebook. I'm not going to put his personal information on here. But he definitely made a little post. He goes, I guess I really didn't play that good this year. Guess I had an average year. Maybe not my year. Not my year for the Mosconi Cup. Pretty, little poke the bear a little bit, and deservedly so. Any other year, he's in by points. It's a cakewalk. I mean, I feel a little bad for him. Ralph Eckert might not have been able to choose him because he might have had to choose his last pick before he saw Kachi, have any results. But if not, if he chose Albin over Kachi, that stings a little bit. I'd be upset. I'd be mad as hell. I mean, the guy won the World 10-Ball Championship this year. You're not going to put him on the team? Come on now. Won the UK Open? Let's go. Anyhow, a pick that the U.S. side, Jeremy Jones, captain of the U.S. side, he made an interesting pick as well. Shane Wolford was his last wild card pick. Shane Wolford had a good year, had his best year ever, still a very young man, but they're going to Europe. The Mosconi Cup's going to Europe this year. And that environment is insane. It's always insane. I was at the Mosconi Cup last year on the U.S. side. That was intense. The room shakes with the yelling, and the songs are going, and it's crazy the entire time you're out there. It never stops. And Europe, by all accounts, is worse, far worse. They tear you up at Alexandra Palace. And Jeremy Jones decided to put a rookie in there. We'll see. I like Shane Wolford's 9-ball game more than I like Billy Thorpe's game. But Billy Thorpe's played in the Mosconi Cup team a number of times. He's played in Europe. He's been on winning teams before. This might have been a year to choose a veteran. Now, I'm hoping Shane Wolford shuts me up. I'm hoping he goes out there and plays amazing. But of course, on the U.S. side, Shane Wolford's not the only exciting thing that happened. The U.S. has a foreign player. I mean, there's no way else to say it, right? They have a foreign national in Fedor Gorst, a Russian-born player, recently living in Russia, within the last 5 years. And Fedor Gorst decided on his own accord he is living in the U.S. Obviously, Russia's at war. He doesn't want to go back. He got all the proper paperwork to be a permanent resident in the U.S., and he decided to play for the United States team. Now, are we happy to have him? Of course we're happy to have him. He's probably the best player in the world. He's the most consistent player in the world right now, for sure. I mean, superstar of the future, or current superstar, maybe the biggest player ever. I'll say it here first. I think Federer Gorst has the potential to be bigger than Efren Reyes. I do. If he can continue winning throughout his career, win all the biggest events, continue this sort of PR buzz he has around him, he might be the greatest player of all time when he's done. But it's very interesting. It's never happened before. Federer Gorst deciding to play for Team USA, and Matchroom let him. And look, for the production value of the show, probably a pretty damn good idea. And the US fans love him. I mean, I was just at the US Open where he got second. The US fans love him. He was the most popular guy in the room. Some interesting things happening there. The US side having a different kind of diamontism to it. I like that. Europe, kind of the same faces, more or less, with Al-Kaidi being in there. We'll go over him real quick. Al-Kaidi, though, had a great year, deserves it. He's playing probably his best ever at 44, which is cool to see. But I'd have had to put Kachi on there. I don't know. I'm going to keep poking that bear because Kachi deserved it. I liked it. He knows it. He just put on his Instagram today that he's in CrossFit now. He's trying to shed some of those pounds from being down with the arm injury, which got to admire the guy's professionalism. He's going hard at it. Anyway, European Mosconi Cup picks. We had Joshua Filler, a shoo-in. Any given time, the best player in the world. Winning big events left, right, and center. You got to put Josh on there. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, the current World 9-Ball Tour #1. I mean, he was literally the first guy on the team. FSR not having a year like his last two, but his last 18 months were the best of anybody ever, maybe. So well done, FSR. But David Al-Kaidi winning the European Open. FSR's blood brother practically. Those guys are going to be an insane Scotch doubles pairing. They add a wonderful, I've said it before, they have this beautiful energy on the team. It's always harder to beat Europe when those guys are on the team, in my opinion. And then you had the recent Hanoi Open winner, which we'll talk about, Jason Shaw, not having a great year, but sort of, capped it off right at the end, and deservedly as a wild card pick. He's always good at the Mosconi Cup. On the U.S. side, and then Albin, of course, to cap it off. On the U.S. side, we have all our stalwarts. Shane Van Boening, obviously. Sky with his best year ever. Tyler Steyer with his best year ever. Federer Gorst, we've already spoken about, going to be a game changer. And then the rookie Shane Wolford. So, Mosconi Cups are in. Super strong team. The U.S. team, in my opinion, even if, let's take Gorst out of it, even though Gorst is an epic game changer, the U.S. team has never looked sharper. Sky Woodward is coming to his own. Tyler Steyer, he took his sweet time, but he's coming to his own and is playing epic. You got Shane Van Boening, who just won the World 8-Ball we'll talk about. The team is great. Shane Wolford, I think Jeremy Jones will be in his corner. I think Shane's going to be calm. We're going to have a great year this year. So, let's go. All right, guys, first up this month, I had to mention, straight from the USA, Shane Van Boening. The WPA Predator World 8-Ball Championships went off on October 17th through the 22nd. And Shane Van Boening wins it, capturing $75K, which is a pretty sweet payday, and his second world title in the last 2 years. He took him till he was 40 years old to get a world title, but now he's won 2. So that'll make him feel fantastic. That'll get people off of his back even more. Everyone always hounded him for not having a world title, and now he's won the World 8-Ball and the World 9-Ball, and you could tell how excited about it. He was absolutely psyched. He kept holding up the 8-ball, and he was pumped up. At his age, you never know how many of these things you're going to win, and he's still at the top of his form, and I love to see it. Another story, though, that was equally as impressive to me, you had from Bosnia-Herzegovina, Sanjin Pelivanovic, I hope I'm saying that correct, with a $35,000 payday, his highest ever, finishing in the runner-up position behind Shane Van Boening. Sanjin's been climbing the charts. We'll mention him a bunch this month as he had a great one. So, Max Lechner tying for third place. Max having a deceptively good year for having no wins. High on the money list. Potentially, he was at least in the conversation to make the Mosconi Cup, which was nice. I think Max deservedly so will be on there one day. Tying with him in the third place position, my favorite Pole, Wojciech Szewczak. Another high finish for him this year. We love seeing him do well. Super nice guy. Played him at the US Open. The guy's going to win big titles beyond the 10-Ball World Championship, which he already has won. But tying for fifth, our boy, Eklant Kachi. First tournament back off the broken arm. Never missing a beat. If you look at his records, it's just win, second, third, fourth, fifth, and in between that, he broke his arm in a terrible accident. So Kachi's back. He just put on his Instagram today that he's at CrossFit. He's out there. He's trying to trim the pounds, and watch out for him next year. The snubbing for the Mosconi Cup will motivate him, I think. I think he's that kind of guy, and he's already playing some of the absolute best on the planet. Also tying for fifth, we've got Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, the current world number one, gearing up towards the end of the year, going in strong to the Mosconi Cup. FSR world number one still by a bit, and looking to keep that for next year. Tying for fifth, though, an interesting player that I'd never heard of before, and another guy out of Japan, Hayato Hajikata. Who is this guy? No idea. No idea. Obviously a great player, though. This was an absolutely stacked field with all the best talent on the planet, and this guy ties for fifth. Strong. Keep an eye out for him. That's Hayato Hajikata. Fifth place, though, again, Mr. Fifth Place, Mario He. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. Fifth. Mario He is the man if you're looking for consistency. He'd be the best Calcutta buy in the world. You know you're getting your money back. That was a great top five for that. Great tournament for Shane Van Boening. Love seeing him win for the USA, and to keep pushing our Mosconi Cup team guys as well. He wants to know he's still number one. Well done, Shane. Next up, though, October 5th to the 9th, at the beginning of the month, we had our newest American, Fedor Gorst, snapping off one of his first big wins this year. Fedor had been intensely consistent, second at the U.S. Open just the week before this, but then he went in the Peri Open in Hanoi and just had a spectacular performance, and the Vietnamese fans were way, way behind him. It looked like a hometown crowd for him. So well done, Fedor. Second place, though, an interesting guy, Michael Feliciano from the Philippines. This guy, he got second at the Sharks tournament last month, too, if you remember. Michael Feliciano, a guy I had never heard of before, and I keep track of the Filipino players as closely as I can. This guy is obviously the real deal. He's got a few seconds and thirds this month, actually, some other great results from him. Anton Raga, also from the Philippines, tying for third. James Aranas, another Filipino. That's Filipino power. James Aranas tying for third. Chai Wei Fu from Taipei tying for fifth. FSR, another strong fifth place finish for FSR, the world number one, cruising along. Niels Fayen, our favorite Dutchman, also tying for fifth, right on top of Po Cheng Kuo. Kuo, I do believe, runner-up at the World Pool Championships in 2015 or 16, maybe even as far back as 2012. I hadn't seen this name in a while. I meant to look it up. I apologize for that. But Po Cheng Kuo, got to watch out for if he's back out of Taipei and going to be doing some traveling again. Great tournament for all those guys. Well done, Fedor Gorst. No one is hungrier for wins right now than Fedor. So this win, despite not being a major title, still a huge title. He got $25K for that win. So it's a nice mid-sized ranking event. And Fedor Gorst working on an epic year. I can't wait to do the money results at the end of the year, because Fedor is going to have a hell of a year. Maybe the most anyone's ever won. So we also had a Euro Tour sponsored by Dynamic Billiards in Lasko, Slovenia, from October 12th to the 15th. And Joshua Filler did something that no one has ever done. He won 3 Euro titles this year, and 3 in a row, which is, considering the competition on the Euro Tour, you have some people that come out and say, oh, the Euro Tour, it's not really a professional tour. Yeah, go try to win one. Go try to win one. There's a reason that only top professionals ever win on the Euro Tour. It's intensely difficult. The European talent is out of this world. The pricing is approachable, so a lot of people can show up to them that otherwise couldn't travel internationally. So you get a lot of guys. Yeah, I'll go down just a little bit here, but just in the 5th place, a guy we've never heard of, Ajden Piknaj, making the Euro Tour tough. There's tons of guys like that in Europe, tons of guys. But anyhow, Oliver Slonecki from Hungary coming in the 2nd place, or finishing in runner-up to Joshua Filler, I should say. Oliver's had a low-key, pretty strong year, always finishing high. I watched him at the U.S. Open, super solid, takes his time, works extra hard. We'll look for Oliver to do better here next year. Quinten Pongers, the young man from the Netherlands, tons of high finishes for this kid. This kid, I believe he's 19. It was his last year in the juniors this year. Quinten is going to be hell on the men's tour in the next probably 18 months, 2 years. confident kid, plays really, really solid. One of the old school Poles, Radislav Babica. I talked to him a bit at the U.S. Open. Super nice guy. Also tying Quentin Pongers for third. The fellow Adjan Pignaj, fifth place there. And Carl Gnadberg also tying him for fifth. From Estonia, this Carl. Never heard of him either. That's amazing to finish high up from out of nowhere. Never having done that before. Another Pole from out of nowhere that we've never heard of. I didn't even recognize that on this Euro Tour. A lot of these people were from, guys that are certainly not household names. Skizman Kural from Poland. Sure, I'm saying that wrong. I pretty much always say the Polish names wrong. Tying fifth, and of course, who shows up again? The most consistent Pole on earth, Wojciech Szewczak, who I say his name different every time. So another great tournament for him. Wojciech Szewczak. Sure, that's right. But the Euro Tour always going strong over there. Joshua Filler got $6,335 for that win. Once again, not a major, but I like to include it here because a lot of the best talent in the world feeds off that tour. If there is a tour in the world that is a sort of a minor league feeder system into the pros, I don't think there's any argument against it. It's the Euro Tour. The Women's Euro Tour happening on the same dates, the 14th to the 15th of October, and Bean Hung from Taipei, another big event for her. She's been one of the most consistent women this year. She wasn't spending a lot of time in the U.S. She has been lately, and she's finishing high all over the place. I was surprised that she flew all the way over for the Euro Tour, but the Women's World Championship in Austria was right on the back of that, so I suspect she combined those two events. Finishing in the second place behind Bean, Pia Filler from Germany, always a stalwart on the Euro Tour champ, Joshua Filler's wife and manager, fantastic player, great second place finish for her. A player I love, though, just because her brother does so much for the game, Ana Gradisnik from Slovenia, not from Moscow, I don't think, but could be. This is a hometown tournament for her, finishing in third. Wonderful tournament. Her brother, Mitha Gradisnik, he runs a youth association, training camp, however you want to view it, out of Slovenia, and Max Binko, who we'll talk about later, one of his students. Mitha does a lot for the game, and I wanted to give him a shout out here. Obviously, Pool runs pretty hardcore in the family, as Anna's one of the best women's players in Europe. Lyubov Zahalova from the Ukraine. Not sure if she's living in Slovenia now as a refugee out of Ukraine. It's hard to say, but it's always interesting to me when I do see Ukrainian players now out playing in Europe. So I hope her and her family are doing okay. But a great third place finish for her. Very well done there for the Women's Euro Tour, going strong. The Women's Euro Tour, not the best turnout, actually, for the Lascaux event for whatever reason. Here we go. Joshua Filler back in the, not what am I talking about back. The guy's had an epic year. But the WPA Qatar Open was on October 4th through the 9th. Joshua Filler, $50,000 win. He made this field look easy. Josh is irritating like that. He's one of the few players left now that makes it look easy. He's almost a Ronnie O'Sullivan level talent. And the fact that some people's brains, some people's strokes are just different. And Josh, you can watch him. He doesn't look like he's trying as hard as everyone else. Cool to see, and he won this Qatar Open, a WPA event, which is very interesting because he skipped the events in Hanoi for this. But good for him, $50,000 win. Ko Ping Chung, who just won the U.S. Open, second place in this tournament with another $25,000 win. I said it last month too, Ko might be the best player in the world. He might be. He's got the smoothest stroke in the world, in my opinion, and he's got maybe the best temperament, something we don't talk about often enough. Ko's temperament is fantastic. It's fantastic. He never looks irritated. He never looks under pressure. That U.S. Open final, he looked like he was practicing. Not quite, but almost. He certainly didn't look as stressed as Federer, and yet Federer was the betting favorite. Pretty crazy. Anyhow, John Mora from Canada having his first top three finish in a long time, and a nice $12,500 payday for John. A Polish guy also tying for third, Simon Kural. That's another Pole. There might be 15 or more Polish players right now that are in the top 100 in the world. I've talked about the Poles, or Poland itself, being the European Philippines, and I stand by that. Per capita, there's got to be as far as sheer volume of players, There's more better Polish players than anywhere. The Germans maybe being a close second. But fantastic tournament for Kural there. 5th place, Alexander Kazakis, his best finish in a while. $8,000 there, tying for 5th place ahead of Badr Alwadi. Badr's had actually a pretty good year, and I'd say the best player from Kuwait now over Omar Al-Shaheen, in my opinion. Carlo Beato, a stalwart Filipino, former world champion, tying for 5th as well. Denis Grabe from Estonia, finishing out in the final 5th place. Denis Grabe, once again, just a stalwart. Is anybody more of a journeyman player, like a working journeyman, a guy that actually makes decent money but never wins than Denis Grabe? I mean, poor guy. I hate to say he never wins, but he just never wins. He's won he's won at least one Euro Tour that I remember. He might have won 2, but man, he takes his sweet time, like one every 3 years. But he finishes so high in all the big events that he makes a good living. So anyway, Denis Grabe, another tournament for him. I would love to see these underdog journeymen snap a tournament off. I root for Denis all the time. He's getting older. He's running out of time, frankly. And come on, Denis, step it up. Just, you need to win like 2 more matches. Let's go, buddy. Great tournament there. The WPA, I'd like to say real quick, I despise this Matchroom WPA battle that's going on right now, but it has forced the WPA to put on really, really big events with huge paydays. So, unless the players get barred from one association or another, which they haven't quite done yet, this is nothing but good for the players. There's all these big, big pots to win now. I mean, 30, 40, 50K is starting to become pretty standard out there, which even 5-6 years ago, you couldn't really say that. There was only a handful of events that paid that much. Now there's 15, maybe more, and a lot of events that pay 10 figures, a lot of events that pay 10,000 and above, 10,000 to 15,000, a whole lot of events that pay that now, and that's nothing but sweet to hear. But all right, moving forward, October 18th through the 21st, we had the Women's World 10 Ball happen right after the World 8 Ball Championship. And from the Philippines, a player I also was not as familiar with, Cheska Centino from the Philippines, wins the World 10 Ball Championship, $50,000. Listen to that. For the women, $50,000 for first place. And the Philippines, that's like winning $1 million. Fantastic for her. She was absolutely psyched. She gave a classic from the gut roar when she won that tournament. That you could tell. That's her first and only world title, a huge win. She won over a quality opponent, by the way, in Han Yu from mainland China. Han Yu, world champion, fantastic player, and probably was a betting favorite in that event as well. But a player that we all love, Allison Fisher. Allison Fisher, in her 50s, still one of the top women in the world. Still getting titles, getting really close, making great money. She got $12,500 for this event. Allison having a great year. Been in the top 3 a lot. Well done. Allison's just not going to stop. She's pulling a Ronnie O'Sullivan too. She's just going to crush these people until she's so old she can't see anything on the table. Might still do all right. Kelly Fisher tying Allison Fisher for 3rd, so the 2 Brits going back to back. But the biggest story about Kelly Fisher is that she didn't win this damn thing. Kelly Fisher wins everything. I've talked about it ad nauseum in other episodes. Kelly Fisher is the most consistent women's player on earth. She still finished 3rd in this, by the way, with tying Allison with the $12,500. Fantastic event for Kelly, but I guess, the old saying goes, you can't win them all. Kelly Fisher proved that this month. In 5th place tie, we had Che Yu Chao from Taipei. Great tournament for her. Ruben Amit, formerly always thought of as the best player in the Philippines, the best female player in the Philippines, maybe getting her crown taken away by Cheska here. But Ruben with another fantastic tournament, always a threat. Sylvania Liu tied for 5th as well. I'm not familiar with her. Su Chinwei from Taipei, a stalwart on the women's tour, always winning or getting in the top 3, tying for 5th. And that rounded out the top 5 there. This Sylviana Liu looks like she's from Singapore. That's interesting. I did not know there was a women player of that caliber in Singapore. So we'll be looking for her in the future. One thing I did want to mention down here, which, oh baby, I was happy to see this name out on the list. Tying for 9th place, Siming Chen. Siming Chen is back from her odd several-year exile there in China. I honestly have no idea. I have talked to some people about Simming Chin. I have always thought she might be the best women's player ever. That's right, ever. If she could ever play all the events. I've heard that she has some family obligations that keep her in China more than some of the other women. That is unconfirmed, but I had a decent source tell me that. But anyway, Simming Chin came out to Austria to play the Women's World 10 Ball, finishing high, not as high as she would like. Every time Simming's in a tournament, I'm sure she's a favorite to win. Great to see her back. Great to see her back, and I hope we see her back in a bunch of events in a row, because I would love to see if she could play a full season, how she would come out. Right on the back of that, though, the WPA had a whole extravaganza there in Klagenfurt, Austria, and they had a WPA World Juniors Championship. And I'm not going to talk a lot about these players because I'm unfamiliar with a lot of them, but we had a couple cool stories. Once again, October 19th through the 22nd on top of these events. You had the girls under 19 from Chinese Taipei. Zin Yu Hong took that down. Very, very well done to her. The American, Sophia Mast, finishing in the runner-up position there. Sophia Mast has had a hell of a year already, snapped off some big events in the U.S., finishing high on the WPBA Tour, and we haven't had an American woman in the top 5 of the Youth World Championships in Europe in a very long time. So very, very, very good finish for Sophia. We had in the 3rd place position Linnea Helgemarström from Sweden, and also tying for the 3rd place Jolene Sherman from the Netherlands. So very, very well done there. That's the girls under 19. All right, we had the boys under 17 with an Indonesian player, and I only mention that because you don't hear of a ton of great players out of Indonesia, but this young man, Darren Asaku Sitoris, wins the championship for the boys under 17. Very, very well done there. Adrian Prasad, the Californian from USA, finishing in 2nd place. In my lifetime, I'm not sure I've ever seen an American finish that high in the World Junior Championships there in Europe. Fantastic from Adrian. I've heard about this kid a lot. I've never seen him play, but I know Oscar Dominguez has been a little bit of a mentor to him, possibly a full-on coach at times. So well done, Adrian. But a name I wanted to mention here that's climbing up the ranks, I believe he is only 13 years old. This is Max Benko, a student of the guy I formerly mentioned in Slovenia, Miha Kradisnik. This is the best player in his stable, I do believe. I could be wrong there, but I very much believe that. Max Benko, quite a talent. Quite a talent and very, very young. Finishing in 3rd place here, well done. Right behind him, another American. This is intense that Americans are doing this well here. Grayson Vaughn from the USA, tying for 3rd in the boys under 17. Very, very well done, Grayson. Well done, Adrian. Max Benko, I think we're going to see a lot more from him, and I'm excited. Our winner, which this is interesting because I have heard of everybody else on this list, but Darren Asaku Sitoris from Indonesia. Keep your eyes out from him. He's a champion. The boys under 19, no surprise here, Yannick Pongers winning again. Yannick Pongers, we just mentioned him. He finished 3rd place in the Euro Tour recently. Yannick already plays at a professional level. We're going to see a lot more of Yannick. He's out of the youth program after this year. He is 19 years old, so we'll look forward to seeing Yannick in the pros. 2nd place, Mika van Berkel from the Netherlands. Mika, another guy, high finishing all the time in these youth events, and as well on the Euro Tour, has done okay. Fu Han from Hong Kong. Always like to see Hong Kong guys doing well. Difficult for them to travel sometimes and everything else. Fu Han, another player I've never heard of, but we'll look for him in the future from Hong Kong. Claudio Cacci, who we have heard of, top 16 at the Spanish Open just earlier this year, and he is Eklan Cacci's younger brother. Claudio probably thought he was a favorite to win that event, but finished in 3rd. Heck of an event for him, and we are going to see a lot more from the Cacci brothers as time goes on. October 23rd through the 29th here in the USA, we had the 1st annual Battle of the Bull in Roanoke, Virginia. But we had a winner that has not been winning much this year, but has won some formally in Aloysius Yap from Singapore. Aloysius Yap, wanting to prove that his wins in Michigan were no fluke, snaps off his first big event in a while with a $16,000 payday, and those were Matchroom ranking points. Very well done. But the machine, Fedor Gorst, right behind him with the most consistent guy in the world right now, another finals appearance for Fedor Gorst, and we're just going to keep seeing that from him, I think. He's putting forth a Tiger Woods level of effort. He's outworking everyone. He never stops thinking about improving. Well done, Fedor. and can't wait for that Mosconi Cup with him. Third place, Shane Van Boening. Obviously, Shane Van Boening having a wonderful year now with that World 8-ball win. I think Shane is going to play very well in the Mosconi Cup too. I can feel it in my bones. Now that Federer's on the team, I think you're going to have a bit of a rivalry there, which Shane hasn't had before. But Tyler Steyer, USA, finishing in 4th place. Tyler still staying strong with his best season he's ever had in his life. You're going to see Tyler climbing and climbing and climbing. I think he's gotten over all those jitters, and you're going to see the very best of Tyler Steyer in the next 18 months. Mark my words. Alexander Kazakis, another solid year for him with no wins. 5th place here with $2,250. Once again, towards his ranking points. He's already out of Mosconi Cup contention, but I just like rooting on Alex. He's such a nice guy, and he's a great player. Zhonglin Chang, huge champ. Man, I don't have enough time in this episode to keep talking about it. Love to see Chang back out there, though. This guy, he won the International Open. He's looking for another big win, and I think he'll get one. He's a lot of top 10s, a lot of 5th, sort of 6th place finishes, and you can't keep knocking on that door. He's not the type of guy that will let that slide. I watched his practice at the U.S. Open. Intense. He's not playing around. He's trying to get the very best out of his game all the time. It's great to see. Roland Garcia from the Philippines. This guy, we'll talk about it just right after this. He wins the 1 pocket here. Roland Garcia, another Filipino. What do you say about the Filipinos? Another Filipino that seems to know everything about the game. Well done, Roland. And this guy, you're going to keep seeing Roland finish high, even though he's starting to get a little long in the years. Sky Woodward, another solid 5th place finish for him. Sky Woodward also having his best year with no wins, really no big wins for Sky, which we're waiting on. I say it all the time. Everybody wants Sky to win an event. Come on, Sky. Let's go. The 1 pocket I just mentioned, same way, same dates, October 23rd to the 29th. We had Roland Garcia win that, and Sky Woodward, who I just mentioned, finishing in 2nd place. Sky's 1 pocket game, by the way, I don't want to say it's underrated because everybody knows how fantastic he is, but when they're mentioning the best 1 pocket players in the world, they never mention Sky. Not really. He might get a half mention here and there. Sky Woodward is obviously one of the best 1 pocket players in the world. He's been on the 9-ball tour all year long. He's not practicing 1 pocket. He's not gambling 1 pocket on the side very often like all these other guys are, and yet he's snapping off some of the biggest 1 pocket tournaments. He's playing great. He did good in the Texas Open. He did good here. So just when there's a 1 pocket tournament going on, yeah, definitely can't count Sky Woodward out of it. Billy Thorpe, another one of the best American 1 pocket players without a doubt, finishing in 3rd. Roberto Gomez, a stalwart in the 1 pocket game, Filipino, finishing 3rd. Alex Pagulayan, arguably one of the best gambling 1 pocket players of all time. Not arguably, he is. Alex Pagulayan, everybody's favorite. They're finishing in 5th in front of Josh Roberts, Lucas Francisco Werner, and Shane Van Boening. I don't always talk about the 1 pocket on the show because I like to keep it focused on the biggest majors, but whenever there's a 1 pocket event attached to the majors, I do like to mention it because 1 pocket's a great game, and it's good to see these guys out there, playing in different disciplines. And I know a lot of you guys out there are big 1 pocket fans, so I try to mention it as often as I can. To cap off the month, though, the biggest event that happened this month, in my opinion, because I do believe Matchroom events, no contest really, Matchroom events are the premier events, and we had on October 10th through the 15th the Hanoi Open, the first mega major 256-man major on Asian soil, and the fans in this place were insane. Pool is huge in Vietnam. All the players were going to pool halls and taking video of the pool halls and showing. There's 30, 40, 50 tables. I might exaggerate with 50, but at least 30 tables, 40 tables that are full. And all the players are saying that it's full like that all day, all night. They're open a lot of times later than our pool halls too. They're open until 4 or 5 in the morning, and they're full until the place is closed. It was crazy to see. Pool is in bonanza mode in Vietnam. Very, very well done. No doubt why Matchroom decided to have a major here. The fans were going insane, and it was great to see. And who was our winner, though? Who were our finalists? A couple of the stalwart Europeans. Jason Shaw and Albin Ocean made the final, and they had an epic one. It goes 13-12 with Jason Shaw taking it down. He got a little love, played great.
Favorite shot. I'll tell you what, it wasn't far away. That would have brought the roof off.
You know, Jason Shaw, always a high energy guy, and it's interesting to see Albin, who's kind of a lower energy guy, but Albin kind of outplayed him.
But he hasn't won this one.
But got beat at the end, and well done, Jason Shaw. It sealed his spot on the Mosconi Cup team, which I'm sure Jason was getting a little nervous. It would have been his first time not on the Mosconi Cup team if he hadn't made it in years. So that made him kind of an easy wildcard pick for Ralph Eckert. So well done, Jason. The semifinals, though, a guy that's just so hot, it's crazy. Ko-Ping Chung, Little Ko, this guy's in the top 3 everywhere. And Little Ko's been in the top 3 of the juiciest events. I mean, every time this guy's, losing a tournament, he's making like $15,000 or $20,000. He'll take that. Another great event for Ko-Ping Chung, beating losing out to Albin Ocean, Hill again, 11-10. So Albin with a stressful last couple of matches there. All right, Jason Shaw got through his semifinal through Sanjan Pelivanovic, another great tournament for him. This guy, once again, I keep saying it, but I like Sanjan. He's knocking on the door. He's good for the game. Very professional, youthful guy that I think, as far as the marketing for pool in general, he has nothing to do with the old school of the game, and I like that. It's all positive. Another great tournament for Sanjan. A guy I wanted to mention here, a Filipino, another Filipino that I had never heard of somehow, because apparently everybody else had, but Kyle Amoroto, he finishes in a quarterfinal position, and Kyle beat Shane Van Bonen earlier in the tournament. He lost to Ko-Ping Chung 10-8. Very, very close match, pushing him. He's got a really, really fast cue action that, frankly, I can't stand. He looks like he's going to miss all the time. But the Filipinos historically do have awkward cue actions, but make it work. And Kyle Amoroto, he follows in that same vein. An exciting player to watch. Very, very young. I think 18 years old. Keep your eyes out for Kyle. And David Alcady losing out to Albin Ocean in the other quarterfinal, 10-3, a heavy loss, but Albin can do that to anybody. But I wanted to mention David because he's just having a great year. And these majors, too. You got to keep in mind, David Alcady's finishing high in all the hardest tournaments in the world. A lot of, he won the European Open, obviously, but he's been in the top 10 consistently. And you can't do that without playing absolutely awesome. Fedor Gorst, the other quarterfinal, Jason Shaw gets through him 10-8. Fedor, though, you just can't beat the consistency with this guy. It's insane. There's like 3 guys right now, though, with Ko, Filler, and Fedor that you just, feel like they're in the top 3, top 5 every event. Sanjan beat Michael Feliciano, who I moved in the quarterfinals. This is, I've already mentioned Feliciano, but I just wanted to mention him again because another big event that he's finishing in the top 5. This guy, Feliciano, from the Philippines, we're going to see more and more of. And I'm going to wrap it up right there because this bad boy is running long. Thank you guys very much for sticking in. I hope you like these monthly reviews. Make sure to comment and let me know if you're liking them, or if I should go through a little more or a little less on the events, if I should do less events but go deeper into them. I like covering all the events because I'm crazy, but my editor hates it. So talk to me a little bit in the comments. I want to know your views. I love, love, love the game. That's why I'm doing this, and I want to bring you guys the best product I can. Thank you so much for sticking in this far. This is Q Sports News. I'm Adam King, and I will see you next time.